Metroplex, what should we talk about today?
Push Decepticons.
That's all you ever want to talk about. What about our future? Hey there! What's up? It's day 35 of 100 days of making comics. With me, the bot that is a Gaz. That's Gazbot to you. What's happening? Well, only put in 30 minutes today. I'm kind of out of vacation mode, so it should have been more. But I was still kind of waiting on feedback from my buddy Derek on the scripts for 3 and 4, which he has now given to me, but I hadn't had earlier in the day. So what I did was I spent 30 minutes mostly pulling research. I was actually going to do another character design, because I realized while I do have all the primary and secondary and a handful of tertiary characters, there are just regular soldiers. I mean, I've done a few, corporals and commander type people, but just the regular grunt soldiers, the military police on the ground that I haven't really designed. And so I pulled a bunch of reference from different military police, from Germans and the Japanese in America, various times in the timeline of the history of the human race is what I mean there. And also some like SWAT and riot gear to make them look more beefed up. Pulled a lot of that reference, compiled it all. That took me about a half hour. That was my day. I didn't actually get to the drawing. But I did do some drawing. I did about 2 hours and 45 minutes working on comics, not my own personal comics, so it doesn't fulfill the requirement, although like I said, I did the 30 minutes, so we're covered. But it's for this comic I've been doing for a while that hasn't come out yet and won't come out for a while, called Kid Switch. I can't remember if I've mentioned it or not before. It's sort of a young adult, all ages sort of comic, action adventure type thing. And I'm working at a really slow rate. It's a work for hire, I'm being paid, but it's a friend who I know who's the writer and creator. And so a combination of me telling him I don't have a lot of free time and him having, a budget, it's sort of like a page or two a month, like super slow. It might pick up after a while, but it's a very casual sort of thing. But I decided to put some work in on that. And what's funny is, and I'll show you the process video right here.
So these are the layouts for a page from the other comic I'm working on called Kid Switch, which is sort of work for hire. I am friends with the guy who's the writer and creator, but it's a paid job, and I'm not the creator. I'm just the hired gun to do the art, and I'm doing the pencils, inks, and colors, and he's doing the lettering and writing and everything else. Although my pencils, as I'm about to show you, are not actually pencils. Actually, it's all digital. I don't do anything on this particular book. So on the left are the rough layouts, or the thumbnails, and for me that's always the easiest part of the work and the most fun, to find some cool angles and stuff. And then on the right is sort of the cleaned up roughs, which are not quite pencils, but getting in that direction. I mean, I could theoretically ink from the ones on the right. And so you see, I didn't really change much from the rough to the pencil, and that probably took me a few hours. I don't remember offhand. If I had to guess, I'd say like 5 or 6 hours. I'm pretty slow sometimes, especially with perspective stuff like the house and the dog I had to use reference on. Like the kid stuff probably didn't take as long. And then if I slide this over to the left, what I did today was came back to it, and I haven't looked at this in a while, so I had fresh eyes, and I spent some time correcting a few things. The thing that was bothering me the most was, if you look here, this perspective always looked weird to me. And I struggle with perspective. In theory, I understand the rules of it, but it never seems to... It's sort of mathematical, but not precisely mathematical, and I don't really have a good sense of the sort of subtlety of it. So it's sort of... If I follow the rules exactly, it comes out looking weird. If I fake it, it comes out looking weird. So I kind of draw it what I think is correct and then fake it and get somewhere between. But anyway, I've used a different vanishing point, and I feel like this looks better than this now. The windows look lined up and stuff. And I'm sure it's still probably somewhat inaccurate, but it doesn't offend my eyes the way it had been. The dog panel I didn't change at all. The next panel I didn't change at all, although I probably will. These straps look a little close together when I do the inks. I'll probably adjust that a little bit. Then the fourth panel here, I adjusted his face. Not a ton, but I just wanted to get the hair out of his face a little bit and change his smile to be a little bit happier. The dog I also redrew, and they'll likely be changed once again when I go into inks. With this kid, this is Joey Swick, who is the main character, and I struggle with his hair a lot. Not that I can't draw it, but it's a combination of wanting to change it and wanting to stay on model. And this is a case where a while back I did boots, head turnarounds, and that's not something I did not do with Joey. I did a quick character sketch of him, but he sort of had different hair than what I started drawing him in the book, and so he kind of has hair in his face. It's kind of bangs, and it's sort of evolving as I draw the pages, as opposed to have really spent time and nailed it down, which I kind of regret. And probably most people won't notice it but me, but that's why I redrew that, and I do think I got a better expression on his face. Now down here on the bottom left, there was less correction and more, and actually the friend in front I just made a little bit larger, but otherwise didn't change. If I zoom in, you could see I was mainly just cleaning it up from the rough to be more of like an actual pencil I could ink off of. I did change his face to be a little bit better, and I reversed the legs so that his knee is up in the back. I didn't have to do that. It worked fine just the other way, but as I was, cleaning it up, it just seemed to be a more open pose, to more seem like he was facing his friend than the other one where he was facing the dog. It's just body language. It's not super important, but it felt like it worked better. Redrew the dog a little bit, tilted his head up so he's looking this way instead of looking away, because, dogs do follow stimuli. And he's got the tongue. It's actually a female dog. So let me go back to the full view here. And then this last panel, I once again redrew his face. I'll go ahead and zoom in on those. And I redrew the dog as well. I do a lot of redrawing. So I redrew his face. He's supposed to sort of be saying like a well, and he looked a little bit weird here, a little bit Mo Howard from the Three Stooges for some reason, and the mouth shape was odd, so I changed that, and then a lot of times I go in, I better change that mouth, and then I just change everything. And his eyes actually should be darker, not this kind of makes him look blue, but that's a coloring thing. Redrew the dog, made it look a little bit friendlier, tilted the head up, made it bigger because this dog head was smaller. Let me go back to the full view. Redrew the leg of his friend. I probably need to fix that before I go into pencil, but the one on the left, probably I could have went right to inks. I said pencil, I meant inks. Could have went right to inks, and most people would, and I probably should. But I'm glad I took a second pass and corrected a few things. And this is sort of like really tight roughs or really loose pencils, however you want to describe it. And I'll take this to my inks, which will be digital, and then I'll go color from there. And I'll probably have to correct this part in here a little bit, but otherwise it's not in too bad a shape. And I'm glad I went back and fixed up a few things, and spending a week or two apart from it makes those things much more obvious, because I'm always seeing flaws as I'm working on it, but there's so many that I can't tackle them all. And other times they're flaws that I miss. When I come back to it after a while, the problems that weren't that big don't jump out at me anymore, and any problems that I may have missed do jump out at me. So when I looked at the page, I was like 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 main things I need to fix, and I did, and that's good, and it's good to go for inking. The downside is, because I'm so obsessive, and the thing is, I'm not even slow at drawing, but I just keep redrawing. It took me about 2 hours and 45 minutes to make those minor changes, which is nuts, and I don't recommend people work that way, but I have a problem. So anyway, one of the things is, hopefully by working on this comic and my own comic and just getting into the regular rhythm of doing comics as opposed to illustration or character animation, I will get faster at doing this sort of work. And I have done a few books that were like 40 pages, and it's crazy, because I remember doing a page or two a day in full color. And it's nuts that I did that. I mean, arguably the quality wasn't as much, and I was under a deadline, so I didn't have a choice, but, there we are. All right, let me get back to live.
So yeah, that was better than me trying to explain it, wasn't it? Although I guess I did explain it, but with visuals. Ha-ha! Anyway, man, I can't believe it's day 35. It's really going fast. I mean, I know I'm not even at the halfway mark, but it's still like, 35 days is just blowing by. Probably again because I feel like I haven't accomplished as much as I thought I would by this point. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The writing, I wish I had done before I started. I mean, I kind of jumped into this. I saw Kevin Cross and a few other people doing it, and I've seen a lot more now, as I've talked about in the past. But I think it was just like, hey, I'm kind of working on a comic. I'll do this too, which was great, and it got me going, and I don't regret it. But hindsight being 2020, if I knew then what I know now, I would have started it after I had the script in better shape, maybe done a few character designs, so that by this time I'd be further along. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. So I got some notes from Derek about issue 3 and 4, which I haven't worked on yet. I'll probably do that tomorrow during the day. I'd already worked on 1. I'll probably work on 2, 3, and 4 a bit, but I'm not going to go too crazy. because I'm going to get coffee with him tomorrow evening, and then I'll probably do some rewrites and maybe do that character design tomorrow during the day for my time in the comic. And then I won't count the meeting, although that is arguably time for the comic, where we'll go over things a little bit more fully fleshed. He just kind of gave me a couple bullet points of notes of things he would address. Nothing too crazy, generally positive feedback. And so I guess this time, tomorrow night, I will have already met with him, although you probably won't hear about it until the day after. So yeah, that's going to be the day, and the day is 35, day 35. Yeah, so. Oh, that means 65 days left. 65 days left. 65 days left. 65 days left. 65. 65 days left.